Liverpool take on Newcastle in the next Premier League game. And although the midweek job was done, but it's this competition in which we have to start doing significantly better. Welcome to Marching Reds. I am Aman Chima, and here I am to preview the game which is going to be played at Anfield, which is Liverpool versus Newcastle in the Premier League. And now every game becomes even bigger. So let's start right away. Let's start with the context of this game. The fact that I have to go all the way back to the summer, and I have to mention the fact that Newcastle will be coming with not a revenge in their mind, but something that they need to settle scores with. And the fact that we got their number nine and made it our number nine. But the fact that in the midweek, Liverpool needed to get a job done, and that's what they did after beating Karabag 6-0 at Anfield. But on the other side, Newcastle went to Paris to get a result, and although they did not lose there, but they eventually saw themselves dropping out of the top 8 spot. And definitely, it should be Liverpool who would be looking and be feeling a lot confident heading into this game, because the fact that yes, it was Karabag and everybody expected a win, but to get a victory like this, in which we saw Mohamed Salah get back onto the score sheet, Chiesa also scored, and one of the mini objectives, if you can say so, got accomplished. That has to be a confidence booster within the dressing room. And now looking at the injury concerns for Liverpool, we knew that Jeremy Frimpong was subbed off quite early on in the game, and he looks to be on the sidelines for a few weeks. And I just hope that he recovers very quickly, because looking at our defense right now, it looks very, very thin. And I am pretty much confident that unless something comes out of the blue, we would be remaining quiet in this transfer window. The good news is that Konate, after taking some time off because his father passed away, and again, my wishes are with him and his family, was back in training, and he should be in the squad tomorrow and would start for me. So, other than that, Curtis Jones, who was ill, seems to be back within the squad, and the other long-term injuries remain as it is, which is Alexander Isak, Conor Bradley, and Leone. However, Joe Gomez would be missing this game, but as Arne said, should not be as far away as what some might have feared. So for the starting lineup, for me, it has to be Allison in goal. And in the back four, it would be interesting to see whether Curtis Jones is fit enough, or whether Wataru Endo gets another game as the right back. But for me, it should be Curtis Jones starting as the right back. And in the centre back positions, it has to be Konate and Virgil van Dijk. In the left back position, Milos Kerkez should regain his position back. In the midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai should be given the start. And in the forward line, on the right wing, it has to be Mohamed Salah, who I hope keeps on continuing scoring. And if he can get on a streak, it would be but obvious that Liverpool should also get on a winning streak, which I hope it starts now, because as I said, every game is now even more crucial for our top 4 or top 5 chances. So in the number 9 position has to be Hugo Ekitike, and in the left flank position, Florian Wirtz starts for me. Although I have set it up as a 4-3-3, but I won't be surprised if it's a 4-4-2, in which Szoboszlai would be operating on the right flank with Florian Wirtz on the left flank and Ekitike Salah as the 2 strikers. But, as we've seen previously against Marseille, it would also be a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-2-4 when we do not have the ball, because that is where you would like to see the likes of Szoboszlai and Wirtz pressing on and starting to put the Newcastle team under pressure. So that is how I would approach this game. And then you've got the likes of Cody Gakpo to come on from the bench, Federico Chiesa can come off from the bench, and Gamua, who did have a heroic memory, to say so, in the previous fixture. And I think it's high time that we talk about that game as well. It was the second game of the Premier League season. Liverpool, having beaten Bournemouth, travelled to St. James's Park. And although the Isak transfer was not finalized till that point of time, but it was Hugo Ekitike who was starting as the number 9 for us. and even Newcastle were after him. So he got onto the score sheet. We were leading 2-0, but somehow, back then the pattern was that we take the lead, then we allow the opposition to come at us. And I think it was in the 100th minute, when like 10 minutes were added after the 90 minutes, that Rio and Gamoa, who back then was I think just 16 years old, and I think his birthday was coming very soon after that game, turned 17 later. But I still remember that goal vividly, where like Mohamed Salah was right in and around the box, plays the ball inside the box. Dominic Soboslai has that perfect dummy. Like for me, he assisted that goal, because that is where we sort of made that one man less count of Newcastle, because they were already down to 10 men. And Rio and Gamoa finished off that play and finished off that game for Liverpool. And those were crazy scenes. And I just hope that we sort of repeat the result, but not the performance, because even in that game, you could see a few glimpses where like Liverpool were losing concentration. And now, given the fact that at this point of the season, especially in the Premier League, we find ourselves in that awkward position of being right in the center of a top 4, top 5 battle. We cannot afford to lose any more points and lose ground on this race. And as of now, it is looking as if the top 5 would be enough for that Champions League spot. But before anything gets confirmed, we have to start putting our performances in. And the last result against Karabakh should be a positive stimulus that Liverpool can rally around. And the fact that it's going to be played at Anfield under the lights, you expect Anfield to play its part and make sure that they drive the Reds home to a victory. In terms of how different it has been looking at the Champions League run-in and the Premier League run-in, it's like polar opposite. Whereas the questions were being asked in both competitions, but in the Premier League, it's a lot more physical. It's a lot congested whenever teams come up to play against us. And I'm expecting a similar sort of a tactic to be deployed by Eddie Howe, like the fact that Johan Lisa would start. That's what I'm hoping for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon would get a start. Harvey Barnes would get a start, given the fact that they came off the bench in midweek for them against PSG. So you would be expecting counter-attacking football being played by Newcastle's team. Liverpool would be having a lot of the ball, and I think the way Newcastle would set up, it would be a back 5 with 2 midfielders in the center, and Gordon, Visa, and Barnes ready to attack whenever they get the ball. The biggest challenge would be that if and when we do lose the ball, because of course you can't get through a game in which like all 90 minutes are being dominated by one team, how do we react to that? And I think that is where it would be interesting to see if Curtis Jones or Wataru Endo, whoever takes that right back position, is not committing that much forward, because you need to have players behind the ball to defend such a situation. And if that is the case, the role of McAllister, Gravenberg become even more crucial, because that is where they have to be not only making sure they carry the ball through the lines of Newcastle and find that pass forward, but whenever there's a transition happening, we need to get our numbers back and make sure that they do not hurt us. So that is how I think the game would be. And it might be an edgy game, but it won't be anything short of high intensity. And that is something that Liverpool needs to adapt to, especially in the Premier League, because Champions League, although given the fact that it's a different competition and the teams that we've been facing are a lot more open, in the Premier League, we have been struggling to find that last pass, last touch, which has hampered us in not converting those chances. And as luck would have it, as soon as the opposition gets a half decent chance, we end up conceding that goal. So we need to be at it. And as Arne said in like 1 or 2 press conferences before, if we can start dominating the edge of the box or like inside the box play a lot more, you could see results improving, you could see performances being enhanced. And that just means the fact that we are more clinical in our defending, we are more concentrated till the last minute, because बहुत सारे हमने last minute goals या फिर last minute equalizers खाए हैं, and had that not been the case, we would have been much higher, if not at least in the positionings, but at least in terms of the points that we would have accumulated. So yeah, it's high time that we start getting our act together. We need to pull our socks up, and the fact that the next two games, although be it against top teams in Newcastle and City, are at home, it's the home factor that we need to start counting on and start getting those much important results under our belt. So I address the defending situations, but in terms of attack, we need to be a lot more quick. We need to be a lot more assertive and get the ball inside the box. Like, for example, there is no point in passing the ball in and around the box and, like, waiting for that right moment or waiting for that right pass. So we need to get a lot of balls in, not even around the box, but inside the box, and see what happens from there. And I think if we are persistent, if we are consistent, something that has been a problem for us in the Premier League, especially, we should be good enough to get those 3 points in this game. So this is how I am approaching this game. And as a fan, I know the Premier League results have not been something to be proud of, but it's another opportunity. It's another game where I would love to see Liverpool come at home, dominate the game, and get those 3 points with a clinical performance. So you let me know what your starting 11 would be. You let me know if you have a different approach to this game. Do you think that Liverpool can still salvage something, especially in the Premier League this season? Let me know your comments in the comment section below. And if you've liked this video, you know what you have to do. And I will see you in the review of this game. Till then, take care.